Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Pagcast. Here you will see two interviews, one with Charlie Fletcher and Cam Smith, who are two huge contributors to why Hayden won the HSSAA Tier 1 Championship, and the second one is with the four Hayden Coaches. Thank you and enjoy. Welcome back to another episode of the Pagcast. So today on the line, I have Cameron Smith and Charlie Fletcher, who were both big contributors to the Halton final win for the Hayden Huskies. Before we start the interview, guys, how are you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great myself. Charlie, how are you doing?
Pretty good, Pags. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. You guys are both dual sports athletes. We'll start with that. How do you guys use the skills in the different sports for hockey?
Hockey, I think there's a lot of leadership that goes on for the game, so I think that carries over from each sport. I think that's a big contributor. So me and Charles played on the volleyball team together, and then moved into hockey season. So it's a pretty big transition from volleyball to hockey, but I think leadership kind of plays its role in both sports. Pretty big contributor.
Yeah, Cam hit it right on the head. I think it is just leadership, the biggest ability. You take those skills, like what you learn, what you have, what you're given from coaches, and then you just apply what works well with your team, what doesn't work well, and then you just apply it in all the sports you can. All experience is good experience, and with all these different sports we've had, it's been so helpful. I know for Cam and I especially.
You guys were not only on this year's winning team, but last year's as well. Going back to last season, with that overtime loss against Oakville Trafalgar, how did you guys use that loss to get better?
I feel like through that game, we went through a lot. I think it started off 1-0 OT. Then we tied it up, and then I think it went 2-1 OT, and then we tied it up again and ended up losing OT, and that feeling in OT when they scored, that breakaway goal was not a good feeling. So I think we didn't want that to happen again this year. Use it as motivation throughout the season, Drove the whole team. A lot of the guys that weren't on the team were at the game watching, so I think they kind of had a similar feeling and wanted to win just as much as we did. So, yeah, carried on a lot from last year.
Yeah, for me, again, it wasn't the most ideal situation for me, as we all know. I would have much rather be out there with the guys, trying to help as much as I can. But still, you're part of the team, as much as you say you're part of the team. You just cheer the guys on, and when you're there, you're watching it. You're helpless because you want to be part of it. You want to win, and then when you see that happen, you couldn't have done anything about it. It drops your heart, But it is what it is. You take it, you move on, and whatever done is done, and you move on. It's a new day. Sun's gonna rise, and you take it and grow.
So, Charlie, you were the third string last year with well, hold on. Well,
wow.
The net was mainly split between Ryan Movazzo and Tyler Dukes. Going into, I guess, the 2019-20 season, was there any big influence for you to make sure you got 95% of the net or the majority of the net?
I wasn't really too worried about that. And the biggest thing for me is you just got to let the team win. That is, at the end of the day, whatever goalie, whoever's in the net is going to get the team to win. That's how it goes, Last year, it was, they felt that they were going to bring us the best chance. And that's, you respect the decision, and that's how it goes. This year, the same thing. I just wanted to prove myself that I can, play with these guys. We can play and just bring that energy that, maybe something else can't. I can control my, as Hogue says, effort and attitude, and you're just trying to bring that forward and help the guys as best you can.
Cam, last season, it wasn't the best because you only had 7 points, which is pretty abysmal. But, with this season, with the 1920 season, you had a 5-point increase. What factors went into preparing for the 1920 season?
Man, I think I don't know, man. It didn't change much about my game. I think it just kind of handled itself. This year being a senior, last year kind of being new to the team, just trying to contribute in any way possible. I didn't even know that I had that 5-point increase. Not really on my focus. That's not really something that I focus on going into the game. How I'm gonna put assists up on the board, how I'm going to put the goals up on the board. I just want to help the team win, you know? So I don't really have much to say about that. I just, not something that I'm focusing on. I just want to make the team better, have a better chance to win in the game.
You know, I think that a lot of your game really focuses on your defensive style of play. You know, you're very calm in your own end. You make the simple plays. So I think that is what I see from I guess a fan's perspective to your game.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, defense or offense starts with defense. I think we work from the defensive zone onto the offensive zone. So wherever I have an opportunity to get it off to the forwards, you know, dump it into the zone, whatever we're doing, just to get a play going. I think I'm going to make the right play at the right time. I'm confident in my game. And if the opportunity is there to take a shot on net, dish it off, or a good pass, you know, I'm going to make that play.
Yeah, so going with Charlie, you know, like I said, you didn't really get any playing time, but you played 7.5 games, and in those 7.5 games, you showed what you could offer to the Huskies with a 6-1-0 record, 1.73 goals against average, and 2 shutouts. Fast forward to a season, to the 1920 season, and you hold the Hayden Husky record for career wins. What happened in the offseason for you to accomplish that goal?
You know, I'd love to say that I worked out every day. It's just prepare. You just get out there and you we always had that goal that this was our year, and you're just going out to do whatever it takes and whatever matter, like whatever it takes to be possible, to make it possible.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you were fantastic in the night. You gave the Huskies a chance to win every time you played. There wasn't a game where you really weren't off your game. You were always on it. You were mentally prepared, physically prepared. Everything was just checked off.
Yeah, and that's really at the end of the day what I try to do. You know, from a rep background, you know, you want the team to win, but there's always that internal drive. You want to have the best numbers, you want to have all this stuff, and then when you get over to high school, you just like do whatever it takes for the team to win. If it's letting in 5 goals a game, but we winning 6-5, then you know, it's not what I would want, but you let in one less than the other guy, so you're just giving your chance a team to win, and that's at the end of the day what it comes down to.
During the 1920 season, did you guys face a lot of adversity you had to get through?
Yeah, I think we did throughout the season. You know, we had our losses. We had our ups and downs for sure. You know, tournaments, league play. You know, we had had a couple losses that kind of sparked us up at the end there. Wanted us to fueled us for the big Halton HSSAA run we had. You know, in the end, it didn't really end up like we wanted it to, but I think that ended up driving us this year, and you know, carried on from last season. So it ended up being a positive in the end.
The biggest thing for me is the first games. So we won the preseason tournament in Milton, and we beat Georgetown 4-1. And then the first game of the regular season we played, and we lost 2-1 to them in a shootout. I just remember on the bus ride back, like just it felt like my world was ending. You know, for such a meaningless game to lose 2-1 in a shootout and feel like somehow that was just on me. It was the biggest drive, the biggest spark for me personally, trying to face adversity and know that you have to be better. It just can't happen, you know? And I just hate letting the guys down and feeling that way. So I vowed to, you know, work hard and make sure that would never happen again.
So what would you say would be the amount of preparation would go into your game, both mentally and physically?
You know, I think it's different for us being student athletes. So, you know, we have the school day before the game, so our focus is obviously on school when we're at school. But I think that big transition, you know, when you put your bag on the bus, you go on the bus. It's time to think about the game. You get there, get your warm up stuff on, kind of get your mind into the game more warm up, and then get back, and then that's when you really lock in, ready for the game. So, you know, preparations throughout the day, but it's definitely different when you got school, you know, throughout the day before the game. But I think once we hit that bus, that's when we start locking in.
Yeah, for me, like I just try to get out of my own head as much as possible. So with school, having school in the morning and then games in the afternoon, you're not thinking much about it. You're there, you're school, you're a student, and then as soon as you just like on what Cam said, your headphones are in, you're locked in, you're thinking about what you're gonna do to help your team win this game. It's just that simple. You just got to make sure that you're locked in and you can prepare yourself mentally and physically, and then go out. Whatever happens, happens.
Who do you guys like to model your game after?
There's a couple guys. Back in the day, I think, you get this question. I used to say Brent Seabrook. He's a good guy, defensive guy, good contributor to the team. Defensive. He's offensive in parts, but I think he's mostly just a solid defender. Helps his team out in any way he can. Team guy. Yeah, I think that's a good example.
Well, for me, when I was kind of still back in my rep days, I'd always tried to model my game after Carey Price. I mean, like what goalie doesn't? But as things start to develop and things start to change, you got to think, well, not that I play like Fleury, but I have the same mentality as him. Where we talked about how Carey Price has like goaltending in the game of like chess, where Fleury has it in like a game of war. Like Fleury will do whatever it takes and whatever means possible to get the puck out. That's how you see all these diving acrobatic saves, where Price is so compact. And my goalie coach and I always talk that you have to, game like a game of war. You need to do whatever. Fleury, I guess, would be the most accurate.
Yeah, those two are very good comparisons for both of your games. And then, with the season, you guys do go on road trips. Who would you say is the best and worst, I guess, player to room with?
Oh.
Throughout
your Hayden career, let's say. Let's do it like that.
Oh. Yikes.
Man, I've been lucky with my roommates. I've had some good history there. Charles has been my guy both years. I haven't had to face going in the room with Pags. I've heard that's a big struggle, big.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Pags, I think you're on that end of the lower end
of the best.
No, lower end.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that. Dude, I roomed with Sturkey and Wilson this past year, and it was fine.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, for me, I got to do it. Shout out Lang. Lang is just brutal. This guy. Classic Lang. It's just Lang. I've known Lang for a while, and him and I are close, but Lang in the room, bud. Like, what are you doing?
So you're just saying this guy just goes off the rail?
It's not like that. He's pretty calm. He's keeps his composure, but sometimes Lang. But for the best, I mean, Cam for sure is up there. I got to give Daniel a little bit of credit too. He's been we were with him a lot too, and just there's a bunch of great guys to room with. Like they're just a lot of fun. Everybody talks about the same things, and we all get along, which is great. So it's just fun,
I don't think you can go wrong with anybody on the squad.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot more positives than negatives surrounding this topic.
For sure. I think that's what happens when you have a winning group,
Mm-hmm.
Everyone kind of bonds together. It's great that we have those tournaments. Last year Ottawa, this year Kingston. It didn't really go the way we wanted it to this year. A bit of a rocky start, but we made it. We made the most of it. We ended up getting our night in the room. I think it's a good team bond to have there.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel that the tournament only lasted like a couple days, being seniors?
I think it is what it is, man. Like we got you can't really control the weather. I mean,
yeah,
not much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we had a good time up there. Can't complain.
Yeah, for me, I mean, as much as it does suck, you do kind of you don't understand. Like I was really bummed the day of that we found that it was going to get postponed to the morning of. But what was it, 4 or 5 in the morning? We were
something like that. It was some atrocious time.
Yeah, we were on a bus. Everybody was tired, and we were on a bus up to Kingston. Like that's just something you're going to remember forever.
And then you have to play the game in like a couple hours.
Yeah, no, that was not great. Legs were a little tired. Legs were a little feeling it, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, it's all about adjustments.
Yeah, exactly.
Charlie, the fans witnessed this season. You were very calm in the net, with a bunch of traffic going on, with high pressure situations. How did you remain so calm?
I mean, yeah. The biggest thing is I just kind of relate on my experience. When I even look at the final game, so I've never really had. So I've only won a couple finals in life, and that was my final year minor midget and final year major bantam. So I haven't really played a whole lot of finals games, so I didn't really know what to expect. But you just take it all in. Like my kind of whole thing. So I think about the day before, a couple days before, and I'd say, when we go up, we listen to Air Canada, or we hear O Canada.
Air
You look at
Canada.
all the people here to support you. You look at your school. You look at your teammates, and you just breathe, and you're just like, just control what you
Take it
can.
in, man. You
Everything's
gotta
gonna
take
fall
it
into
in.
place. Everything will work. Like it's just, you just take it shot by shot, period by period. So in between the intermissions, I'd go in and I'd say, all right, shut out that period, did my job. Shut out that period, did my job. Shut out that period, did my job. And lucky enough to come out with a victory. And you just rely on your experience and your attitude.
You guys never lost a game in regulation during league play. What contributed most to accomplishing that goal?
I think we had that early loss in OT to, or was it? Yeah, I think it was OT to Georgetown. I think that was kind of a slap in the face.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, shootout. And then, yeah, we had to just adjust to that. We don't want to have that feeling again, obviously. And then I think we were just, most of the time, the better team out there. And we went out and proved it. So I think that was mostly what contributed to that.
How did you guys avoid getting lured into those trap games playing like lower opponents? Oh, did I just cut off Charlie?
No, it's all good.
Okay, sorry, bud. If you want to add something to the the last question, you can.
Cam nailed it. There's nothing else that needs to be said. He nailed it.
There you go.
So how did you guys avoid getting lured into those trap games playing against lower tier opponents?
Well, hit him with this one.
I mean, you try not to think about it too much. It's definitely difficult when you go out because you always play better against the teams that you hate. You got a little bit of a grudge for. You always just think, you're just like, oh, I hate these guys when they skate fast and they do all these things. It really motivates you. But when they don't, it's like, well, you look at a game like OT, first shot goes in, and the next shot goes in, and the next shot, and you're just like, okay, like, you try not to pack it in, but it is definitely difficult to maintain that level of intensity. But again, like with experience and effort, you keep battling, you keep moving through it.
Yeah, for sure. I think there was times where we did get sucked into that kind of stuff, and we just gotta adjust. Coach did a good job of getting us back on track, and playing our game. As long as we play our game, I think we're gonna come out with a victory most of the time, as shown throughout the.
Moving on to the Holland finals, obviously that's one of the big reasons you guys are here. How big was having that buyout?
Man,
it was huge. It was absolutely huge.
Yeah, I think.
Go for it.
All right. Yeah, I think just fans did a great job of kind of advertising what was going on. With the whole blackout thing, whole blackout theme. It was great. Coming out through the tunnel, seeing everyone there in the black shirts and everything. They're out there to support. Big game, biggest of the season. You got that huge arena with the bowl. So it really gets you going, fires you up for the game.
Yeah, for me, like you look around and you see like, oh man, and I go to school with these guys. These are all my friends.
Yeah, it must be something special seeing
moments, especially Cam. You stream about scoring that big goal.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on to let's talk about the big goal, like Charlie said. Cam, you scored that game winner, which made the building just completely erupt. What was that moment like for you?
Too.
Yeah, I think just to play, Starkey gave me the puck, and I was going to my right. Goalie was coming with me, so shot it at far side. ended up hitting the post and going in. And when I heard that, I was like, this place is about to erupt. The roof came off the building. Great reaction from the fans. Then we went to the bench. Guys are fired up there. And then, good response. We didn't lose our game. We stuck with it the rest of the game. We didn't lose our heads. And I think it was just a great experience. You dream of scoring a goal like that in front of all those fans in a big game like that. So, yeah, it was just a great overall experience all around.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Oh, are you? Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that for people who missed the game, they can see the replay, but if they don't see the replay and they go to the HSSAA website, funny enough, they gave it to Sharpie, but they unfortunately spelled Sharpie's last name wrong. They spelled it as Shard, Sharde, which is quite unfortunate. But Cam will always tell you different. So we should probably get that fixed.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, Charlie, you earned a shutout against Hayden's biggest rival, Nelson. What does that mean for you? It was the biggest game, for the Hayden hockey history, for the whole team. It was the biggest game for the whole school in hockey. What does that mean for you?
It was huge, and you dream of those moments. You really do. You just, I don't know if you could script it any better, to be honest. Like, I had family there, all my friends were there. It was just a great moment that, it just was like, oh, all your hard work kind of pays off, and that here we are. Like, we made it, boys. Like, this is what you dream about, and to go out and actually live that is just something completely different that no one could have ever expected. Like, if you told me that I would be, we'd win 1-0, 2-0 over Nelson in the finals, you'd tell you're crazy, but that's the reality.
So you guys won home finals, meaning that you go to GHAC. During that week, the GHAC hockey game was kind of swept under the rug as we had offset basketball and offset volleyball taking those priorities. Did you guys wish there was a GHAC buyout?
Yeah, for sure.
You always wish.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you always wish for that kind of stuff. That was a great experience that we had at 16 Mile there. So obviously we wanted another one of those, but it is what it is. Didn't really pan out how we wanted to see the game at least, but you can't complain. We still have a lot of guys out, people out there supporting, great support system all year round.
Especially at 2:30 on a Wednesday or something like that. Definitely a little bit more difficult to get people out, especially when school's still going on. But you just got to take it. The same with HT. They had to go through the same thing, right? So it is what it is. You just got to play your game and go out and execute.
Final question here. So where are you guys going off for university if you guys got accepted? And what are you studying, I should say?
So for me, I'm still waiting to hear back from a couple schools. So I got Queens Western, U of T, and Mac. Still waiting to hear back for those, and then hopefully going on to study law in the disparate future. So.
Yeah, for me it's kind of a mix. So I got offered. I did sports management up Rock. Got offered. Also just waiting on Waterloo, Western, and Laurier for kinesiology at Western and Laurier, and then business at Waterloo. So still waiting on those last three.
All right, well, I'd like to thank, again, Charlie Fletcher and Cameron Smith, who are both big contributors to the HSSAA Tier 1 Championship for your Hayden hockey team. Thank you guys again.
Thanks. Appreciate it, buddy.
Welcome back to another edition of the Pagcast. So today with me, I have all of the HSSAA Tier 1 hockey coaches from the Hayden Huskies. Before we get to the interview, how are you guys doing?
Doing good, Pags. Yeah, we're doing all right, bud.
Doing well.
Yep, hanging in there.
So lots of people have been watching hit TV shows like Tiger King and among other TV shows. What have you guys been doing during quarantine?
I'll go first. I'm not a big Like, I don't get into series or anything like that. I don't know why, I never have. But the one thing I was kind of glued to for the last few weeks was The Last Dance, and thought that was pretty interesting to watch. Obviously, a little bit skewed since it's about Michael Jordan and the Bulls, and he kind of had a huge part in it. But really interesting to watch how Phil Jackson kind of worked with them, how he worked with his teammates, how his teammates felt about him, and stuff like that. That's kind of the only thing I've really been locked into for the last few weeks. Other than that, I just kind of here and there pick different things to watch, whatever I feel like that day.
Yeah, just pushing off of Coach Stevie there. I've been pretty locked into The Last Dance as well. I mean, to have a mentality such as Michael Jordan, something, I mean, I can honestly say I never had as an athlete, and it's really crazy to see the type of person he was and how much his teammates respected and looked up to him, what he brought to the table every day. And it's been really, really interesting following it every Sunday or every Monday, the 2 releases on Netflix. So it's been cool seeing that time period, because I wasn't alive for the early part of it, and then I obviously was just a little baby when he had his big run. So I don't remember much of that, but it's cool to see what the basketball scene was like back then and comparing it to the NBA nowadays, and just the difference in that league. But I have watched Tiger King. It is a crazy show, to say the least. And other than that, Peg's just trying to stay busy. Teaching and online learning has been a new stream for everyone, and it's been challenging, getting to that. But looking forward to getting some sports back. Watch the golf that was on, and it was, got my first golf round tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes.
I'll jump into Tiger King. Never got on that train, but definitely got onto the Netflix. Last Dance was incredible, awesome to watch. And then I think the one show that everyone's seen that I hadn't started yet was Ozark. Following it right now, so it's pretty interesting, pretty wild. And but no, in situations like this, Netflix is a good thing. The activity's certainly gone up on Netflix.
I too watched The Last Dance. I didn't start it right when it first came out, but I kind of started doing 2 or 3 episodes at a time. So I remember the Jordan era. I actually have an old Michael Jordan jersey. I'm pretty confident I couldn't get it on at this point without ripping it, but he was definitely one of my favorite players back in the day. Although I do remember in the 1996 NBA Finals, I was also a big Sean Kemp fan at that point, so I was actually rooting against Michael Jordan in that series. And I found it interesting to see all the behind-the-scenes footage and just all the background stuff that I didn't necessarily know about. It was definitely neat to see. As far as other TV, if my kids don't have control of the remote, which is usually once they've gone to bed, I watched Westworld season 3. That was pretty cool. And probably more of the news than I would actually care to admit. Not as much now, but certainly early on, I was kind of glued to the news every day to know what was going on in the world.
Yeah, it's been a busy world out there, won't lie, with either Netflix or even watching the news. Going back to last year's overtime loss against Oakville Trafalgar, how would you guys describe the team's mood after the loss?
That's where we're going to start, Pegs? Or?
Yes, we are.
I always think that was important for our team. Obviously, we want to be on the other side of things, but I think that did so much in retrospect for this year's group. And 13 of our guys from this past year all went through that, as did our coaching staff and everyone else that was involved. So, you try to take the positives out of situations like that. We would certainly love to be sitting here being back-to-back champs, but if we needed that just in order to get to where we were this past year, I think we'll take it because we learned a lot.
I think we were on a mission pretty much from that day until the day we were hoisting the trophy this year. So, yeah. Hurt at the time, but I think it helped us grow as a group, and we accomplished what we did this year, I think, as a result.
For sure. I think coming into this year, after that loss last year, it left a really bitter taste in the mouths of all, Hayden affiliates, right, and everyone involved in the program. So for 13 guys to go through that, 4 coaches to go through it, our team managers, everyone involved in the program, you just come in hungry, right? You come in with an expectation that you're going to be number one. And, fortunately for our guys, we were able to step up, and that's what we achieved this year. So I think based on where we were last year, and each year has been a stepping stone and be able to build on it. So I think from last year, the 13 guys, they all understood where they wanted to be. The new Huskies that joined the group this year, they all got on board real quick, and as a team, we were able to move, each step at a time, one game at a time. We're moving forward to our goal, which was, champions, and that's what we were able to achieve. And I think that was the foundation of our success, was that loss and building off of that.
I usually have lots to say, but they covered it pretty well. I think the only one word that comes to mind is heartbroken. It was a really tough way to lose in the finals, and like you got the man advantage and stuff like that. But like they all said, we rallied this year. We really wanted it this year, so worked out for us this year. Sometimes you come up on the other end, and that happened last year. This year, we came up on the right side. So
I think
I know. Oh, sorry.
So I was just going to say, I think we kind of peaked at the right time last year and kind of went on a bit of a hot streak as the playoffs hit. Whereas this year, I think the expectation from day one was that we were the team to beat, and that we expected to be in that game.
I know for me, it took a while to recover from the loss. How long did it take you guys?
I don't know if you ever recover from big losses like that. Like, I think you learn from it, right? Like, if I go back and talk about it, I'm still upset with the way it finished. If I'm being honest with myself, I think the right team won last year. I do think OT was better than us. I think we gave them one hell of a fight for sure. And like Coach Will said, like, I think we were peaking at the right time. But I don't think you ever recover from big losses. I always think about them later as a coach, or even when I was a player, and you've got to be able to learn from them. Where did we go wrong? What matchup should we have gone with instead? What opportunities could we have capitalized on, and how? But like, if I could go back and replay that game to give us another chance, I would do it in a heartbeat. So I don't know, you ever get over it. I think you learn from it, and then obviously when you turn around the next year and you win, it lightens the blow a little bit. But if I could take another crack at last year, I definitely would.
I think in addition to that too, I think the moment, that goal goes in overtime, a lot of things go through your mind, including like, when's the next time we can get back here, realistically as soon as possible, because how much work goes into getting there. And then as much as 13 guys got to, go through it and finish on the right foot this year, we also, we wish those other 7 guys from last year could certainly have that feeling as well.
Yeah, Pegs, and I think on touching those 2 points there, especially about forgetting about a big loss. There's still big losses that I went through as an athlete that have fueled me now as a coach. To think about those situations and what went wrong or what could have been different, and then you game plan for those, right? So you think about this year when we're in a similar situation as we were in that game, or in any game where we're expected to match up against something. That's where us as coaches can then step back and say, okay, like, what is our plan here? This is what we've done last time. This is what we think we should do this time. And then it's up to, players to put that in place, right? And it's up to the skill of our players to eventually, get things done. But losses, that taste never leaves your mouth. It's always there. It's always in the back of your mind, and those are always resurfaced with no matter, the outcome moving forward. It's always great to have the wins, but you remember the wins and the losses. I for me personally, equally, and I'll always remember, the feeling that you have, and that's motivation for me personally to move ourselves forward as a group and as a unit. I think that's what the boys were able to do this year, move themselves forward based on that, that taste in their mouth.
For me, like, the loss was going to hurt regardless, but the fact that we were on the power play at the time when we gave up that goal, I think that stung even more, if from my end of things at least. I think it was a 4-minute power play from what I recall as well. So I can remember thinking at the time when we had that advantage, like, we're gonna score. We've got 4 minutes to do this. So, when that breakaway happened, it was just I probably couldn't look, but I know I did, and it was crushing that it went in. But again, that's in the past, and we certainly moved on based on what happened this year.
You guys had a phenomenal season in league play, going 7-0-2, basically, with 2 shootout losses. What contributed to that success?
Well, I think if I could start it off, I think it's just overall team cohesion and team success, right? I think as coaches, we can build and game plan as much as we want, but we had a number of very skilled individuals. We had a team of very committed individuals who were committed to the program and committed to the overall outcome, which was a Halton championship. So I think that, as a coaching staff, us being committed, having, our athletes be committed, and just every day come to the rink and drive to that ultimate goal. I think that was the mentality, was that we're not happy with a loss. We're only happy with winning, and that's what ultimately we're able to come out and do, right? So from my perspective, I think it's just being hungry and being driven each and every day that you're at the rink.
I think too. Sorry, you go ahead, Coach.
I was just gonna say, to add to that, I would say depth. We got 2 amazing goalies. Most teams would have taken either one of them, and he could have been a starter on their team. Like, Charlie was unbelievable in the finals. They were both fantastic for us throughout the season, but 2 fantastic goalies. I look at our D, a number of them had returned, so they had learned from what happened the year before. And the D we picked up, Capo, was excellent, like a AAA player that decided to join. And then probably one of the most dynamic lines in the league, with Dried's lines up front, and then we just have 4 lines that can come at you like in waves, and so they all have different strengths. I'm not saying they're all goal scoring lines, but they all played their role really well. They all knew their role, and they all had a really significant role. And so I think that's important. When you just have a wave after a wave after wave, like, it's really tough for another team to match up lines or come at us somewhere. There's not a whole lot of opportunity to exploit weaknesses in our game. And so I think when we had our mindset on playing and winning, we were really, really challenging to beat. Did we have that every single game? Not necessarily. We didn't obviously have our best game every single game, but we were tough to play against and really tough to beat when all our guys were focused and were hungry and got after it that game, just because we had so much depth.
And I think too, ultimately, obviously, the playoffs are the most important time of the year, but the regular season does give you that confidence, and you know that anyone that you're going to have to go through on your way to a championship, you're going to have to play in the regular season. And I think we understood that each game was a test for us to see where we were at, and we had, like as you mentioned, we had a lot of wins in the regular season, and we also had some adversity just in terms of losing twice in overtime, and we learned lessons from that as well, right? So every part of the season, regular season, tournaments, and then ultimately the playoffs, everything adds up and builds up, and we know that. And we also know, last year, we finished second in the regular season and then second overall, so we know that it's important to finish first in the regular season to give yourself the best chance, and home ice opportunities throughout the playoffs as well.
I think our expectation as a team, both players and coaches, was we thought we would or had a chance to win every game we played, and thought we could play with any team we faced, whether we'd seen them before, whether it was in tournaments, that kind of thing. And we found a way, like Coach Stevenson was saying, we didn't have our best game every game, but we even found a way in games we weren't playing our best to come out on top a lot of the time. One game in particular that kind of stands out in my mind as being a good example of that was the Burlington Cup game we played against Robinson. It wasn't really a meaningful game per se. It was sort of the precursor to the playoffs. I know at that point we'd had a number of people sick or injured, and we'd had a pretty bad first and second period in that game, but I think the guys just decided, no, we're not losing this game, and I think we buried 3 goals in 5 minutes or something, and then ended up winning that game. So yeah, we had the mentality that we were going to win, and we were able to, even when we weren't at our best a lot of the time.
Anything to add, Mr. Plord?
No, I mean, based off what I said first, I think what I could touch on is what Stevie said about having 4 great lines that are you can throw it at any time, and we had trouble sometimes deciding on who we're going to throw because we had so many different skill sets, so many different guys who can contribute to what our goal was, and we could throw at anyone and be confident with any line on that ice. And any goaltender in our net because we were so strong all around. I mean, we had guys step up when they needed to, step into role positions, and that's what led to our success. I believe is guys just bought in and worked hard, right? So
all of you guys are teachers. You guys basically work 2 jobs at once. One being the coach and one being the teacher. How do you guys overcome the challenges you may face?
I think that's very similar to a student that's an athlete as well. Like you have to find a way to manage both because certainly, we miss as much time as our students do, and it's important that we have an understanding from the departments and the schools that we're a part of. That's the first thing. I think the support that way is huge, and then just ensuring that we have positive relationships in our classes, being upfront, letting them know that we're not always going to be there, but we have certain expectations when we're not. And then, they're, as you mentioned, they're 2 different aspects of the job, but we treat them very much the same. And we would certainly all say we love coaching. We love teaching at the same time.
I mean, I could hop in from a different perspective. So being an elementary teacher, as Coach Hogan said, you need to have the support to back you. So I had the support from my administration, understanding that, I am involved as a coach, for Hayden High School. And I was able to get that support also through the admin at Hayden and recognizing that they had a, volunteer coming into the program. So it was great. It is tough sometimes. A lot of late nights, getting things organized. But I mean, at the end of the day, we do it because we love it. And it's not a job. I don't see it as a job. It's something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy coaching. It's giving back to, a community that I think deserves it. And I think that it's all about just managing your time and managing what needs to get done. And sometimes, yes, it can be tricky, but at the end of the day, you look back and it's worth it. So you put your time, you put your effort, and it pays out.
No, go ahead, Trev.
Okay. I was just going to say, support is a common word that's been used, certainly from the school. From my end of things, I have 2 young kids, so my wife was very supportive of being involved. From the beginning of the school year, being involved in football and then moving right into hockey afterwards. The fact that my wife was willing to, take on a lot larger role in terms of picking up kids after school and that until I could get home, that meant a lot. And it ultimately allowed me to be involved. And again, it's busy having, your regular teaching responsibilities on top of coaching. But again, we all love it and wouldn't do it if we didn't. And, it's a good way to sort of see the students in the school outside of the classroom because, those are 2 different things and also an opportunity to meet other students in the school. I don't necessarily teach all of the players I coach. So just having that other connection with students in the building, I value as well.
The other word I would use is they use sacrifice or they use support. I would use the word sacrifice. Everybody's got to sacrifice a little something. We ask our guys to sacrifice things in order to play and make commitments to the team. We do the same thing. We sacrifice some of our free time. We sacrifice time with our families. We sacrifice other things. We're doing work sometimes at 10, 11, 12 o'clock because we know we've missed time during the day. And that's what it's about. management for sure, support for sure, but at some point you need to be willing to make a sacrifice of basically your own time, your own experiences and stuff like that, because we value what we do. I'll always think that it's important for kids to have the opportunity. I had an opportunity as a student athlete in school. I valued that. That was extremely important to me, and I truly believe that our student athletes value what we do, and that's what keeps us going. Is every day easy? No, some days it's a real grind, just like it's a real grind for our players, but in the end it matters whether you win or lose. Like, I think it mattered to our guys as much last year as it mattered to our guys this year. Is it way better when you win? Absolutely. But in the end, only one team gets to be a champion. And I think every single one of the players who was part of the HSSAA last year gained something as, as a team member, as a friend, et cetera, et cetera. And I think learning and building relationships with kids that you don't necessarily teach is huge. But sacrifice would be my word, probably over support.
Speaking from a student perspective about the whole online format with teaching, it's horrible. Now, going from your guys' perspectives, how is it like being online?
I'm sure that there's some of the similar issues on both ends, to be honest, and we would all sit here and say we would much rather 100% be in the classroom. And be, in the different environments that we're used to, whether it's in the classroom, in the greater school area, at the arena, for example. And we know that that's the best way for both the teachers, the students, everyone involved. I think right now, because of the obvious, the safety concern is always number one. And this is a way that we can continue at our best of our abilities to do our job day in and day out, and for you as a student to continue to do it, because there's no playbook on a pandemic. So it is important that we come up with some strategies that we can be successful. And our hope is that, obviously it's disappointing with the school year closing until the end of June, but hopefully September, although it will be a new normal, hopefully it's a bit closer to what we were used to as opposed to what we're in right now.
I would definitely prefer to be,
because we're listening. And go ahead, Trev.
Sorry. Forgot what I was going to say. No, I would echo what Coach Hogan said as far as would much rather be in the building. I find it would be way easier to answer questions and just help students if you were right there in the room. Like, now it has to be through email, or just the person-to-person connection is so much harder now, and everyone's working on a different schedule. Again, my wife and I are both teachers, so both trying to navigate when we're doing what we need to do for our classes and for our students, while at the same time keeping an eye on our kids and, trying to get them to do a bit of school. Like, my older son is 5, so I mean, it's not like he had a ton of homework before, but, he can't just be at home, watching TV every day, right? So trying to keep him learning, whatever that looks like from day to day, it's a lot to try and balance, and it was a lot easier certainly when we were in school under more normal times.
I was just saying before, like, I don't think any of us got involved with teaching to sit behind a computer and not have those day-to-day interactions with kids. Certainly we're talking to kids and stuff like that, but I much rather get together with these guys in person and, go for dinner and chit chat and have a little coaches meeting and stuff like that. And instead we have to do things through Zoom or through WhatsApp or whatever. And so that's unfortunate. Same with kids. Like, I enjoy spending time with my students every day. It's different, you get something different from them every single day, and you just don't have the same connection. Like, I didn't become a teacher so that I could distance learn with kids, but I understand that this is the safest thing to do right now. The professionals are telling us that this is what we have to do, and so I'm doing the best that I can at it. Coach Hogan said, like, there's no playbook for this, so we're kind of doing as we're told and trying to do our best. But like, obviously, just as students are frustrated, teachers are frustrated too. But we're doing the best so we can. And we can interact with our kids a little bit more.
Yeah, I think the three coaches have already said it perfectly. Again, there's no playbook on this. It's a new learning experience for everyone, and I think as we move through it, we're just trying to support students to the best of our abilities, right? And we want student success to be our number one goal and our number one priority, but also make sure it's done in a safe and safe way where this is the decision at the time. And as Coach Stevie said, we didn't get into teaching to do online learning. We got into teaching to, have that communication and interaction and be in a classroom and being in a school environment. So it's been difficult for that aspect. But I mean, at the end of the day, student success is the number one priority. So as long as we're able to work towards that and achieve that, then that's what we're looking for.
Moving back to hockey, you guys, we had the buyout. How big was it? I think the team felt that they were energized with the crowd?
I think it was huge. I think anytime we can get our students there, support other students is huge. I love when we have people at the rink, and for some of our big games, even in the regular season, we had quite a crew of following that kind of really supported our team. And it's always fun to play like that, like professional athletes, high school athletes, NCAA, CIS athletes, or U Sport athletes. It's all the same. Everybody wants to feel the support of a home crowd kind of on your side, especially when they're your like family and friends. And to win with so many people there, people we didn't even know, and then the reception I think that they planned for us when we came back to school was something the guys won't forget. I thought that was pretty special for them to walk in and see the whole school there kind of turn them on and chanting for the Huskies.
Yeah, I mean, to hop in there and just build off of that, as a student athlete, right, having a crowd, it's the one word I can think of is electric. Like it's electrifying to have an atmosphere created for you, and that's done through the fan base, right? That's done through the spectators who are there. And I think having the buyout for Hayden and having that student support was amazing. It really, I feel like put a fire in the boys, and to see their friends in the crowd and cheering them on and having that support really lights it up. And I think about professional sports, and I'm thinking about professional NHL players who are talking about their favorite places to play. And Pegs, you're gonna love this one because the number one that I hear is Montreal, right? So the guys love playing in Montreal, Nashville, Vegas, and that's not because of the teams. It's because of the fan base and the atmosphere that's created in the arena, and it's really fun to play in those settings. So I think the buyout, having the fans there from Hayden, it really electrifies the arena, and it helps provide that extra spark that the boys need some time to get through, right?
I would say too, if we could guarantee that to our team every single year, we would, because it's a huge sell. It's one of the main differences between kind of what they're used to with rep hockey versus the high school experience is, they do have the opportunity to have a lot of their friends all at the same time at the rink and really very much following. Like, we're really grateful for everyone that comes to support the team because it creates an experience for everybody involved. I know as coaches, we'll always remember the glass behind us. It's very easy. All you have to do is look at the clip of Cam Smith's game-winning goal and just panning to the crowd. Like, that's amazing. And that's not done without the people that are supporting the program. And I think likewise, I think for the fans, the students that were there that day, they have a memory that they'll always remember from high school, which is great as well. So it's very much for everybody that's involved. It's a positive experience. And again, that's the boys should be proud of that. And at the same time, all the people that were there to cheer them on should be just as proud for creating that experience for us all.
The boys didn't need a ton of motivation, I'm sure, to want to win that championship, but I know the crowd and the energy in the building certainly probably gave them that much more of a bit of a fire and certainly helped propel them to the win ultimately. I also thought it was pretty neat afterwards, that Dr. Frank was there to watch the game. He came on the ice. There's a picture of him with the trophy, and some of the parents came on the ice too. I thought that was kind of a very special moment as well. So I think just having everyone there to witness that go down was pretty cool.
Definitely one of the best memories in recent Hayden High School history. Moving on to our final question. With the junior season being canceled, does that impede your scouting for the grade 9s and 10s at all for the varsity team?
I think we were fortunate because we had an opportunity to host tryouts actually just before everything was shut down. And obviously, if we could change things, we would certainly go back and host that season. But at the same time, we were still able to make some connections with players that we knew nothing about. I know that there's a lot of grade 9s that certainly have an interest in the program. We have grade 10s that are returners on the junior team as well. And I think one of the big things with our program is we know that our program is always just going to be as strong as our players. So we certainly spend quite a bit of time having our own discussions, making connections with different students in the school. Because if they're interested, certainly in playing Hayden hockey, we're certainly interested in, potentially presenting that opportunity to them. And we know that each year it's really important to continue the growth. And we've been very, very fortunate because since the program started in 2014, we've had excellent goalies run through the program. We've had excellent core of D-men, and then so much depth, as Stevie was alluding to earlier, up front as well, and so many great memories from all these guys that have played. And we obviously understand how important it is from the start of grade 9 until the end to try and provide them with that experience. And we've been fortunate over the course of time.
Yeah, just to add on to what Coach Hogan said, obviously we got a chance to see lots of the guys. Would we have liked to see an opportunity for them to play games and just to get to know our style and we get to know their style a little bit for sure. But I think that just this has caused unfortunate loss for a number of student athletes, not just our junior hockey guys, but anybody who was interested in playing spring sport or badminton. So I do feel sorry for them. Hopefully when we get back in September, we'll have an opportunity to get back rolling with sports. And for our grade 10s this year, they missed their second year, but we had an opportunity to see those guys last year, and they would have played with us last year. And for our grade 9s who are moving on to grade 10 next year, our hope is that we get to see them next year. So instead of 2 years, it's only 1 year, but it's better than none. And it's still an opportunity for us to build a relationship and to let them know what Hayden hockey is all about. And but lots of times we have some of our senior guys come back and help with our junior program. And so our goal will be to do that again next year because our players really promote our program, not us. We'll give everything we've got. And I think our senior players know that, our varsity guys know that. And I think they pass the word on to our junior guys that this really is a viable option to play competitive hockey. It's a lot of hockey, but you're able to maybe manage a bit more things other than just rep hockey in school, maybe works a little bit easier, have a little bit more of a social life or whatever it may be, but still have a really viable opportunity to play good competitive hockey and with some of your buddies. So lots of times our program at this point does the talking, and our senior players help us out and talk about what a great experience they've had. But us having the opportunity to build a relationship with the young guys is important. So our goal obviously is to get on the ice with them not necessarily in September, but next school year. And hopefully a lot of those grade 9s will be interested in grade 10, and we can work with that 1 year that we've got them.
For sure. I think, too, touching on what it's been said already about the program, I think that Hayden is an amazing program that's been built, kind of ground up from day one by Coach Stevie and Coach Hogan. they started it off, and every year that I've been a part of it, it seems to just increase and get better. And I know that, Wheels, I think, stepped in a similar time or maybe a year before I was involved in the program. And I feel like every year it's just been getting better and better. And I feel like that's a credit to, the work that Stevie and Hogan constantly, put forward. But also the players, right? And each year we've had a great group of players who've, brought their best to the table. They've improved the program. They've really built a name for the program around Halton, and it's this year led to the ultimate success with the being champion. So I think, if I think from a player perspective, being a junior player, I'm looking at, well, this team, is champion caliber team, and I can be a part of that. And it's a program that provides me the opportunity to play hockey, play competitive hockey, get a lot of games in. Coach Hogan, you could probably give the exact number of games we played last year, but I know that, with our tournaments, with our season, with our playoffs, with our exhibition, we put a lot of hockey on the ice for players, and it's a great opportunity for guys to step back from a rep, atmosphere and play a high level of hockey with their friends, with their classmates, being coached by their teachers. It's just a great environment for a student athlete to be a part of. You're playing during the day instead of 8, 9 o'clock at night. Your practices aren't that late at night. I know my last year when I was playing rep hockey, I was practicing at 11 o'clock at night, and I was in grade 12, and it's like I got to be up at 7 a.m. right? So it's a tough go for a lot of students, but I think that it provides a great avenue for our junior athletes to move up to the varsity level. And as was mentioned before, our varsity athletes will speak highly of our program and pull those junior athletes up and say, this is a great experience I had, and it's a great viable option for you.
Yeah, as far as promoting the program, I don't think there's a better promotion possible than winning a championship this year. So I don't know that it would be hard to get new recruits necessarily, seeing what we were able to accomplish. But as was said, like former players, I've always been impressed with how many former players are at our games watching us play. Always want to say hi and talk to the guys afterwards. So that shows how much it meant to those players when they were involved. The fact that they're still willing to come back to see how the team is doing now that they're not there. As well as Coach Plord was saying, like the schedule is certainly maybe more conducive to, balancing school a little bit better. I know a number of our guys also had jobs that they were able to still keep and, be at all the practices and all the games for the most part. So there's a lot of positives to playing, high school hockey that maybe it would be harder to make things work potentially at the rep level if the games and practices are a lot later.
All right, well, that would do it for this edition of the Pagcast. I'd like to thank all 4 Hayden hockey coaches for coming on.
Thanks, Pegs.
Thanks, Pegs.